Hey everyone, Harry here to talk about the devastating decision against the Trump and his sons in the fraud case, the civil fraud case brought by New York AG Letitia James. This one has been a lot quieter. It was actually the first out of the box, and it was a big focus originally. The origin of the charges, in the public eye anyway, was Michael Cohen's testimony to Congress a few years back, where he basically outed the Trump organization for an MO of radically inflating their assets in order to get better loan terms, insurance terms, and the like. And also, all of this isn't part of the AG's case, lowballing when they wanted to pay taxes. So just basic fraudulent fraud, which is to say lies about valuations. The sort of clearest one is that they took Trump's 10,000 square foot apartment and said it was 30,000 square feet, just, boom. But similar gross inflation valuations across the board by orders of magnitude, 100 or more, just crazy over the top valuations. Now, Letitia James took the ball and ran with this because that's fraud on the banks. It's fraud on insurance companies. It's fraud under New York law. And she brought a very big case that's been pending for a while and was due to go to trial. And the last step before going to trial is the parties it's just as a matter of course, move for summary judgment, saying, here are aspects of the trial that you don't really even have to worry about. The evidence is so clearly in our favor. No reasonable fact finder. And in this case, interestingly, the fact finder is the judge. So it's a judge trial, not a jury trial. No reasonable fact finder could find for anyone else other than for us, even if you give every kind of inference to the guys on the other side. This is the same thing that has just happened against Trump as well in the E. Jean Carroll case, when the judge there found he's obviously liable for defamation and granted summary judgment. Okay, summary judgment, however, is rare, especially for a plaintiff. To say on the facts your allegations are so strong that we don't even have to litigate them and try them. That's big stuff. So we knew this trial was sort of in the offing and it was going to happen and it might have important results. But now they call them justices in New York. The lowest level judge has found going into it on the fraud core allegation by Letitia James. It's all set. So that's headline number one is, the core case has been found against Trump, and they can't even litigate it. And it's just one after the other of ridiculous Looney Tunes kinds of inflation. Trump had tried to say at his deposition, it's all subjective, or I could find somebody in Saudi Arabia to pay this amount. That's not what a fair market evaluation means, of course. And they inflated over the course of this 10-year period, their assets in the transactions that James brought forward by some $2.2 billion. Okay, so that is the ruling, and that's the core. There are 7 counts in the civil case. That's the main one, the first one. There's still some stuff to go to trial on to figure out how exactly to compensate certain victims and the like. But this is the centerpiece, that he's been found guilty of fraud. And the penalty just based on that is huge, because the Justice Engoron, ordered the cancellation of the certifications that all Trump beneficially owned business entities, and there are really hundreds under the umbrella of the Trump organization, are canceled. So they're the very, piece of paper you go and get permission from the state to run your corporation. And that's how you have limited liability as opposed to it being just you, which is something you have to have. If his ruling holds up, they're just canceled. They don't have the authority to run the business anymore. It is a sledgehammer to the Trump empire in New York. Now, it's not the exact same thing as complete, nullification of every last penny, because what's going to happen is, again, if the opinion is upheld, they've got 10 days to appoint a receiver, and that receiver now is in control of the company. Donald Trump isn't. Donald Trump Jr. isn't. Eric Trump isn't. The receiver, it's kind of like a bankruptcy, figures out what's going to happen with the assets of these different limited liability corporations, makes recommendations to the court, and the court makes the final determination. What the receiver has, it's a lot like bankruptcy, has huge authority. So basically, assuming it's sustained on appeal, all the assets of all the organizations beneficially owned by Donald Trump, when we're talking about, 40 Wall Street, the building, the one he used to boast, lie, just lie outright, was the biggest building after the World Trade Center. He just made that up. But obviously a big, important building, Seven Springs, an important kind of recreational lot, maybe even others. It's a little unclear, but Mar-a-Lago and things get pulled into this if they potentially have some kind of New York corporate presence. But it is just, it's about leveling the field of Trump properties if it holds up. So this, it seems to me, is way more of a penalty on the business side. No one's going to jail, but way more penalty on the business side than Trump or his kids have yet sustained. And it's essentially the annihilation of the much vaunted Trump brand, which, turns out, based on the decision yesterday, to have always been just a fraud, a front of, not worth anything near what they said, and just a long-standing pattern of lying in order to puff up the amount, and almost like a sort of Ponzi scheme where you puff it up to get more loans, to et cetera, et cetera. So this is really clobbering time and a blistering opinion for the Trump business holdings in New York, which is the sort of central locale of his so-called empire. And if it holds up, and it's a pretty hard-hitting opinion that's really based on the facts, which makes it hard to undo. He's just, as a matter of his business empire, he's virtually like on the street with a tin cup and pencils. It's just, really a devastation. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.